Daimajin crushes the Dictator Japanese samurai movie produced by Daiei in 1966, a movie that shines brightly in the history of special effects movies. It was created by producer Masakazu Nagata in hopes of revitalizing the declining Japanese film industry. The director was Kimiyoshi Yasuda, a master of period dramas, and Yoshiyuki Kuroda was in charge of the special effects. During the Sengoku period, the Hanabusa family, the feudal lord of Tanba Province, present-day Kyoto, was destroyed by the feudal lord Odate Samanosuke, Ryotaro Gomi, and his family, and the people of Tanba Province suffered from then on. The young heir of the Hanabusa family, Tadafumi, Yoshihiko Aoyama, and his younger sister, Kozasa, Miwa Takada, are rescued by their vassal Kogenta and manage to escape, but in order to escape from their persistent pursuers, they are sent to Kogenta's aunt. Therefore, she was entrusted to Shinobu, who had placed herself as Miko, a woman who served a Japanese god, at the foot of a mountain where the demon god Arakatsuma lived. Tadafumi and Kozasa's brother and sister are led by Shinobu to the top of a mountain where no one visits and is said to be home to a demon, where they find a solemn statue of a warrior who is said to be sealing away the demon. Tadaumi and Kozasa decided to hide in a cave nearby until the time came. 10 years have passed since then, and Tadafumi and Kozasa have grown into strong young men and beautiful girls, respectively. However, for those 10 long years, the people of Tanba Province continued to suffer under Samanosuke's oppressive rule. Most of the annual harvest was taken as annual tax, and the men of the village were forcibly driven out and forced to do hard labor for many years. One day, on his way back from hunting, Kogenta is captured by Samanosuke's gang. To make matters worse, even Tadafumi, who had infiltrated the fort to help Kogenta, was arrested. Immediately, Shinobu gets up and visits Samanosuke's mansion, and tries to persuade him that if he doesn't stop tormenting the people, there will be a curse from the mountain demon, but Samanosuke he laughed at Shinobu's advice, declared that he would smash the warrior statue, and cut Shinobu off on the spot. Immediately, Samanosuke's subordinates infiltrated the demon mountain to destroy the warrior statue and drove a chisel used for woodworking, into the statue's forehead. Then, bright red blood began to drip from the chisel wound. At the same time, an earthquake and cracks occurred due to the statue of the god of war, and Samanosuke's servants were swallowed up one by the cracks. Convinced of the existence of God, Kokozasa immediately ran to the statue of the warrior and begged him to save the people and his brothers in exchange for giving his life. Suddenly, the statue began to move and his gentle face turned into a horrifying sight. While changing his expression to one of anger, he turned into a ball of light and flew away towards Samanosuke's fortress. At the same time, at the fort, the last wish of the Hanabusa family, Tadafumi and Kogenta, are about to be executed by crucifixion. A dot of light falls from the mysteriously cloudy sky to the ground, and suddenly it takes the form of a giant demon god. At this point, the calm-looking warrior statue turned into a giant, estimated to be about 5 meters tall, and when it transformed into a demon, its eyes were exposed and it transformed into a face of anger itself. When it was a warrior statue, it did not move like a Buddha statue, but when it became a demon, it moved slowly with a thud, but with such weight and force that the ground sank. It smashed down the cobblestones of the castle. It is so strong and frightening that just pushing it with one arm can knock it all over. The Giant Majin, Daimajin, breaks through the fort and invades the castle grounds. The castle soldiers who were desperately trying to stop this were crushed one after another and were crushed under the rubble. Kadafumi and Kogenta were rescued by the remnants of the Hanabusa family. And Samanosuke also tried to escape but was captured by the demon. The Giant Majin pulled out the chisel from his forehead and pierced it deeply into Samanosuke's chest. However, the Giant Majin's anger still remained unabated, and even the conscientious citizens became involved, and it seemed that the Giant Majin's destruction would finally reach the entire castle grounds. At that moment, Kozasa ran to the Giant Majin's feet and knelt down. Kozasa begs the Giant Majin to quell his anger in exchange for her own life, and sheds tears. Kozasa said this: "Please, please, please calm down your anger. Please, please calm down your anger and return to the mountain by just trampling on me. Please return to the mountain. Please." Kozasa had never seen a god before. She had only heard that such a thing existed, but when she saw a Daimajin who overthrew a dictator, she realized that there was a god after all. I'm sure it exists. This is a movie. But like this movie, it shows that there is always a need for an ally of justice to take down a dictator who destroys people's peaceful lives or a dictator who has no problem starting a war. The people watching will be impressed. Seeing this, the Giant Majin god changed his face to that of a gentle warrior god, and eventually collapsed into a lump of earth and disappeared into the wind. How did you feel when you saw the horror of the Giant Majin god with the above synopsis? The second movie with the theme of "the Giant Majin's angry" can be heard in Japanese, with English subtitles for people from English-speaking countries, but looking at the comments, it seems that most of the viewers' opinion is the current members of Japan's Liberal Democratic Party are saying that they should be punished by some Giant Majin, just like the lords in this movie. Prosecutors do not punish kickbacks unless they involve a very large amount of money, but an overwhelming majority of people believe that this is unfair. Prosecutors arrested only one member of parliament who received more than 40 million yen in kickbacks. Also, except for this member of parliament, they arrested not member of parliament but only accounting officer. From this result, it can be seen that the decision was made to arrest those with a large amount of money and not to arrest those with a slightly smaller amount. Also, not member of parliament but accounting officer. In Japan, once a retired prime minister or an elderly former secretary general announces that they are retiring, they are no longer responsible. Giant Majin does not make such a selection. He thinks it is a big deal because he'll defeat them all, and I am sure I'll do the same. In this movie, everyone who has done bad things is equally caught up in a hole in the ground and crushed to death by the demon's giant feet. I don't wish for the death of any member of Congress. But I think the Prime Minister should listen to the people about what can be done to make the people understand, and then punish them accordingly. My impression after watching this movie is that Giant Majin is actually terrifying, and everyone on this earth would be scared of them. However, if prosecutors and courts do not punish crimes according to the people's wishes, I think it would be much more equal and effective to have the Giant Majin's decision. The word God's cue appears in this movie as well, but I believe that God does not curse. Do you believe in the existence of God or not? My thoughts affirm the existence of God. You can call it heaven, the universe, or the road, but I think of God as the one who gave birth to this universe, or the one who harmonizes this universe and allows it to exist. I believe that God, for example, always maintains the distance between the sun, the earth, and the moon, and controls all living things so that they can fulfill the lives they have been given. And I especially believe that humans are given the freedom to choose what is good or what is bad. Some people may wish they had been given the ability to consciously control good and evil without giving them such freedom, but there are still people who commit evil, after all. It is thought that the freedom of good and evil is applied. I mentioned that there are always people who do bad things, but I heard that there are 39 members of the Japanese Diet, especially members of the Liberal Democratic Party, who have pocketed slush money. I feel like God telling us to use human wisdom to solve problems of this magnitude, without relying on God. If you think about it seriously, humans have already been given the wisdom to solve problems of this magnitude. We just haven't gotten serious yet. It is Prime Minister Kishida, the country's leader, who is not particularly serious about it. If he gets serious, he will take responsibility and quit as Prime Minister, and at the same time, he will also have the decision to let 39 members of Democratic Party members quit. Mr. Kishida is still thinking about what he will do if his seat is not secured as his future Prime Minister. I am sure this opinion is same as all Japanese. If you feel that human wisdom has reached its limits, the AI proposed a solution a few days ago, so you can refer to it and solve the problem. It seems that this is something that has almost been said, but AI is proposing drafts of strict laws. Violating them will result in permanent expulsion, etc., and creating an interest in politics as part of school education. There is a strong need for proposals for ways to make people more interested in politics and to create a habit in which each citizen thinks about how he or she can solve problems. Therefore, if a lawmaker is someone who has done bad things and avoids responsibility by repeating statements that can only be considered lies at the Political Ethics Committee, the next step should be to have them subpoena witnesses. The comments from the viewers, who say that it is necessary to be crushed to death by the Giant Majin, mean that we should go beyond this summoning of witnesses and severely punish those who deserve to be punished. In the second half, we also discussed gods from the Daimajin movie. Please send me your opinions.